Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. My name's Richard and welcome to the Irish Sea. I'm on one of the ferries between Liverpool and Belfast. And when I get to Belfast, I will be driving some 4 hours in my 2011 Mercedes diesel to Limerick, to which I will then be going to a BSA and Royal Enfield dealer at Limerick. But today we're talking about BSA and the fail of BSA. So let's sit down inside the ship and talk about my thoughts of why BSA is failing badly. Let's take it from there. Let's go for a quick walk. It's absolutely dead.
Have another premium.
Absolutely dead.
Thing, please.
I'll do it.
I was having a word with one of the staff, and they said that with the kids being at school, the ferry is usually very quiet. It's rocking a bit as well. But it's a beautiful ferry. It's not particularly new, but it's absolutely beautiful and clean. Absolutely wonderful. I decided to, the ferry's 10:30 till 6:30 at night. And I decided to, look at this. Look at that. I decided to get a cabin for £40. Because I've been up since 3 o'clock, so I needed a sleep. I suppose I could have had a sleep on one of the benches, but I thought not. Here we go. Here's the front. What do you think? That water looks wet. Let's go back. There's absolutely no one on the ship. There's the bar. Let's go and find a seat and talk about BSA. In fact, I could go up here. Let's go up here.
Please be careful on stairwells. Use the handrails or, if required, please take a break.
Right, let's find somewhere to sit and we'll have a talk about BSA. Hopefully you enjoyed this little tour. It's a lovely ship. Right, let's go and sit down and see what we can talk about. Okay, so here we are, sat down somewhere nice and comfortable, absolutely dead. Just been talking to one of the staff, and I thought what would happen is they would get on at Liverpool in the morning, end of the day, get off at Belfast, stop over in a hotel, and then come back the following day and just keep on alternating like that, almost like with an aeroplane. And that's not the case. What actually happens is the staff finish at 7 o'clock, and there's another set of staff that take over in the evening, and they stay on the ship for 2 weeks. They have a cabin, have food up on the crew deck, And they stay on this ship for 2 weeks, and then they have 2 weeks off. So it's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and each ship has 2 crews, one for the night, through the night, and one through the day. And the crews shift over on whatever shift they're on. I just thought I'd share that with you. It's just interesting. I never thought that they'd stay on the ship for 2 weeks. Wow. 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I'd love to do that. Back to BSA. And as I said, I'm off to Limerick to see the BSA and Royal Enfield dealer in Limerick, Sprockets. I think it's called Sprockets. I should really know, but I haven't got an internet connection just to check. Cheers, the coffee on here is wonderful. Segafredo. There we are. So, what's happening with BSA? BSA are going downhill from a price perspective in a terrible way. And I feel like dedicating this video to Ian, who's trying to trade in his BSA Gold Star for whatever bike, and is getting a number of something like £2,600, and he paid somewhere in the region of £6,000 or more a year ago, 1 year ago. And it's got his bike has something like 600 or 700 miles on it, and I'm guessing that the bike is fine. I owned a BSA, so I didn't rent. I didn't do a test ride on one for 2 hours. I owned a BSA, and my experience of the BSA, other than the engine light periodically coming on and off, was absolutely wonderful. It was a great experience from my perspective, my opinion, and remember, opinion isn't a fact. I think that the BSA Gold Star is the most retro modern motorcycle that you can get. It really does take you to a time in the past, whereas the Royal Enfields, which are great, those classics and that, they do look fantastic, but the BSA really does take you back in time. It's just like the 1960s, not that I used to ride in the 1960s. I wasn't born until 67, but I thought the BSA Gold Star was absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I never had a problem with it. It always started. Let me just check this camera. Yeah, it's working fine. It was a great thing. So if we've got a relatively great bike, and I know there are problems with some of the bikes, such as the wiring loom and things like that, but let's put those aside, because I think most people are having a great time on their BSAs. If the bike is great, then what's the real problem, and why is the value of the BSA falling so rapidly? We've got, as I said with Ian, he's gone and bought a plus £6,000 bike, and a year later he's struggling to get 2,600 for it as a trade-in for another bike, which is in effect forcing him to keep the BSA. What's happened? Why has this happened? Well, what you've got to do is understand how Indian management works in the real world. So this I love India, and I love Indian people. They're so lovely. But when it comes to Indian management, I've worked with Indian suppliers all my life. Now, generally speaking, when I've worked with Indian suppliers in the UK, it is a different kettle of fish. Everything seems to go okay, just about, yeah, just about. But I've also worked with Indian suppliers abroad, and I've been to their offices abroad in India and worked with them, and I understand how Indians work from a mentality perspective in management and all that kind of thing. So my thoughts, and these are not based on facts, but if you work for BSA, do comment or send me an email and tell me what it's really like. Do send me an email if you want to keep it quiet. and you know, I will honour your privacy, and I'm happy to tell your story. But send me an email. The email's in the home of the channel. Email address richard.banforth@gmail.com. Go and find it in the homepage of the channel. What you've got to do is understand the mentality of Indian management. It comes from the top. It's very tiered. It's a very tiered management system. The top guy says you must do it this way, and then all the way through the tiers of management, and by the time it gets to the person who does the job, they just do it. They don't think about what they're doing. They just do what they're told. They know they're doing wrong, but they just do what they're told. And then when the product is created, that's it. They just ship it out, and support absolutely plummets. Some of the software that we've deployed in the past, when it came to change management and updating it because there were faults in it, oh my goodness, it was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Working with the supplier. Once they've done the job, that's it. Everybody walks away, and I think this is what will have happened with BSA. So you've got to understand that the top guy, because it's always a guy, doesn't matter what they say in the news, it's always a guy. The top guy says make it pink, and then the next guy knows it should be blue, but he just tells the next management tiers to make it pink, and then there's different shades of pink, and then it comes out as pink. Yeah, and the engineer knows that this pink is totally wrong, and the message never goes up the chain of events in India. The message comes from the top down. They don't listen upwards, and this is half of the problem. And I suspect this is exactly the same with the BSA. Things have gone on, things have happened. Someone will have said this wiring loom is not right. We didn't test the oxygen sensors at 20 degrees Celsius or 10 degrees Celsius. It's going to throw an engine warning light. It doesn't matter. It doesn't go back up to the top, and no one hears it. They tested the the oxygen sensors or whatever it is that's made the engine light show at 30 degrees Celsius over in India with a humidity of 70%, knowing full well on its first shipment into Britain it would have been 15 degrees Celsius with a humidity of 20%, and they never tested it in that environment. Hence the engine management system has thrown an error, and the engine light comes on. It's not had a problem with performance. That's not the case at all. And then those at the bottom, and the bottom management layers, and those that do the job are also working long hours to a deadline that was never agreed or discussed at the bottom level. It was always discussed at the top level, and then they end up working for 14 hours a day and only getting paid for 7 or 8 hours, whatever their thing is. Yeah, and then people just can't be bothered. It's just it's a strange situation. I've been here before with Indian suppliers working to British companies offering software, and I've worked abroad in the Middle East where Indian suppliers have offered software directly from India into the Middle East, and it was just horrendous. I'm not going to name the companies. Yeah, and it's going to be exactly the same with BSA. Royal Enfield know this. And Royal Enfield don't work like this. They've really gone westernised. They know how to support their customer base and their dealers. Next, every penny counts accountancy. In India, every penny accounts, and the accountant will be driving lots of this in line with the top guy that's, because it's always a guy, the top guy that's creating the product. Yeah, down the tiers of management, and there's lots of tiers of management. It's like the hierarchy of the past in the UK. dealers. So when BSA approached dealers, or dealers put their bid in, I'm guessing that the dealers didn't understand the service level agreements that were agreed between each other, BSA, the importer into the UK, and the dealer themselves, and the legal contracts associated to the service level agreements. And what the payment scheme would be for an hour's pay. Now, I've heard from a dealer that they were only being paid £7 an hour to correct faults on the BSA bikes. If you're a dealer and you know what the true figure is, if it's more than £7 or less than £7, reach out and tell me. Tell me what your issues were with BSA, or the issues are with BSA, if you are still working with BSA, and let's get it out in the open. Let's understand what the challenges are and why dealers are dropping BSA like there's no tomorrow. It's such a sad thing. Such a great bike, but the dealer base is just dropping the BSA due to poor relationships between BSA, the importing company, and BSA, the manufacturing company, and the dealers. It's just shocking. So I believe that you get paid about £7 an hour for doing whatever. Now, £7 an hour in India might be the right number, but in the UK it is not. And that's why, as I understand it, dealers are dropping their contracts with BSA. I also suspect that the support from BSA manufacturing and parts is very poor, based on my experiences of working with Indian suppliers. That they never come back, they don't understand what you're saying, and they're not sure, and it takes, they're constantly trying to fob you off with, well, do this and put a bit of sticky tape around this and it'll work. Well, that's not the right way, and the dealers within the UK know that it's not the right way, whatever the suggestion is that's coming over from India. I'd love to know what the dealers are experiencing. If you are a dealer, feel free to reach out to me and I'll come over and see you, and we'll talk about this a bit further. Let's talk about the bike. I think that the bike is absolutely wonderful, and Ian, I can't really afford another bike, but Jesus Christ, Ian, if you were going to trade it in for £2,600, for the love of God, let me give you £2,800 and I will take it off your hands and bring back the BSA Gold Star to the channel. It's a wonderful bike, absolutely wonderful bike. I had so much fun on the BSA. It was a great bike. It's not perfect, but it was the first shot from BSA as an organisation, and it will have teething problems. That's okay, we expect that. If we're open and honest, we expect teething problems like an engine light or whatever. Yeah, we do expect that. But I thought the BSA was is a wonderful bike, and I would love another bike. Ian, I'll give you 2,800. That's an insult, really. But for God's sake, don't trade it in for 2,600. It really is a wonderful bike. Do I miss the BSA Gold Star that I had? I bought a BSA Gold Star for the channel to inject energy and new blood into the channel, and it was a great bike. I had so much fun. The only problem with the BSA I had was, regardless of the engine light coming on and off, I thought the spokes could have been a bit better quality. I wish they'd have put stainless steel spokes on the bike for an extra £200 or whatever it would have cost. Stainless steel spokes would have been better. Yeah, but I had a great time with the bike, and I do miss it. my God, every time I stopped at traffic lights or pulled up at Tesco's or wherever, did people look at the bike and think it was a reconditioned 50-year-old bike? All these guys constantly looking at it. It was great fun. Absolutely wonderful fun. Anyway, the bike is brilliant. So let's understand this. The reason why the prices, the values of second-hand BSAs have plummeted is not because of the bike, it's because of the support given from BSA to the dealer network. Because it's so poor, no one wants to support BSA motorcycles on the road, which is super sad, and subsequently that message gets out and the value of the bike plummets, which is unfair on the bike, because the bike is brilliant. If you are thinking about buying a BSA Gold Star, I would say yes. If there was one in front of me for the channel, I would buy it right now. Just like the Bingley Wheeler. It's a great bike. There's nothing wrong with the bike. What's wrong with the bike is the management of BSA to the dealerships. That's the problem. What's the future of BSA? Well, BSA have certainly set the scene for the future, and I think there is a limited future. I was informed that BSA were creating a new electric bike which should be out in 2025, maybe 26. And I suspect that won't happen now, because the most motorcycling fraternity and the dealerships have lost faith in BSA. It's such a terrible thing. I suspect that the electric bike will not happen. If it does happen, the price of it has to be really low, and the performance of its electric range has to be really good. It really has to be appealing to a very tiny audience that want electric motorcycles. And most motorcyclists today, at least 90% don't want to go electric yet. I'm assuming that's right. 90%. But which is a very sad thing. I suspect BSA, maybe in their ignorance to the current situation of the Gold Star, are ploughing money into an electric bike which will fall at the first gate, because no one will want to buy it and no dealership will want to support it. There we go. I mean, I contacted BSA and talked about the opportunity of going over to America and riding it along Route 66 as soon as I got my BSA. Nah, they're not interested. They're just not interested. They weren't. It would have been a great marketing ploy, but nah, they weren't interested. Nah, don't need that. Bike's good enough. That's the mentality of Indian management. It's good enough. It'll sell itself. Royal Enfield know much better than this. Really, they should have grabbed a few guys from Royal Enfield into the Mahindra group and told them how to really manage a motorcycle organisation, manufacturing and marketing and all that good stuff. So we also know that BSA Motorcycles is a subsidiary of Mahindra, the Mahindra Group. I'm surprised Mahindra have let this happen. I really am surprised that Mahindra have let it happen like this. I didn't think Mahindra were so naive. However, they've certainly proved me wrong. I would have expected more from Mahindra. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Comment below. Are you a BSA owner? Are you wanting to buy a BSA? Have you had a BSA? I don't want to know too many of the teething faults, but what was your experience with the dealers and things like that? What stories do you have from the dealers? I know the dealers have had a tough time. Yeah, I'm being open and honest. So the dealers have had a tough time. And I suspect that when I get to Limerick and talk the BSAs at Limerick, I guess the reception on that may be a bit frosty, because I guess they're suffering the same problems as we do in the UK. I hope you found this useful. I hope it's balanced. I hope it's fair. These are my opinions and they are not facts. These are just my thoughts based on my experiences of life and working with organisations like I have stated. If you've worked for an Indian company, possibly outside the UK, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've got any major stories on this kind of subject, feel free to put it all down and send it in confidence to my email address. I'm happy to not mention names, even if I get taken to court. I'm not a snitch, trust me. I've got about 3.5 more hours. No, 4 hours before I get to Belfast. And then tonight, when I arrive at 6:30 p.m, I then drive for 4 hours to Limerick. Get some accommodation in Limerick. Should be great. It should be great. I've never been that far west in Ireland. I'm really looking forward to it. The Irish people are lovely people, although I have had a bit of a shaky experience over in the Dominican Republic once with an Irish guy when I stupidly called the Republic of Ireland Southern Ireland. I mean, I was talking about it from an aviation perspective and using waypoints in Southern Ireland when it's actually the Republic of Ireland. This ferry's great. It's so quiet. It's absolutely so quiet. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it meant something to you. Feel free to comment below. When you're riding, ride safely. Be kind to everyone and eat healthily. I'll give you an update on my diabetes in a couple of videos. I think you should know how my life has changed for the better, dramatically. I never realised where I was when it came to diabetes. I have obviously been floating around the edge of diabetes for a number of years, and now I'm on medication and eating healthier food. I'm not saying it's the healthier food, I think it's probably more the medication that's stabilising my pancreas, but now I'm doing what I should be doing based on diabetes. My whole persona of life has changed. It's almost like a bit of an awakening. I thought it was old age. It wasn't. It was diabetes hovering around for the last few years. I'll create a video on that. And if you've got any concerns, you should go to your medical centre and get the test done, because you might be in the same position that I was. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed this. Comment below. Don't forget to subscribe if you thought this was useful. Don't forget to email me if you've got stuff to tell me on BSA and your experiences with dealer networks or BSA manufacturing, etc., etc., or BSA importers, and let me know. Just get in touch. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share if it meant something to you, and we'll take it from there. Thanks ever so much. See you very soon. Bye bye.